Good morning, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining today's session. As usual, we'll start with a mind relaxation technique. So let's sit back and relax. Take a deep breath. And let go. Wherever the mind is connecting, let's just observe that. Whatever it is where the mind wants to just anchor itself by default. Is it something that is bringing me pain, making me anxious? Or is it something that's energizing me? Because the mind has a tendency to connect to aspects that we give importance to. The mind does not have the capability to decide whether it's connected to the right, positive, or negative aspect. It is I who have to decide and discern where the mind is parked, and is it serving me? Is it benefiting me, making me feel good or bad? Because mind simply just wants to keep thinking. It has no filter. It will produce any kind of thought. I am the filter. I have to accept or reject a thought. Give it my attention and energy or not. I decide that. So if we are aware of the quality of thoughts that we are giving our energy and attention to, only then we can reject a negative thought, a waste thought, from a good thought that's energizing me, making me feel good. So let's let go of any such thoughts that do not result in feeling good. And let's steer the direction of the mind to thinking about aspects that are more energizing. So let's take a deep breath in again. Breathe out. And start our session today with a relaxed mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Raki. So, welcome all to the session again. We'll start quickly with our next round of things that we want to focus today. But before that, let me know how have you been feeling about the session so far. So let me know on chat box if you feel the session is going good, you feel the session could have more speed, you feel it can be slowed down, or any feedback that you think would be better for you, something that we can adjust for you. So feel free to let us know on the chat box so that we can accordingly tweak ourselves and deliver the topics accordingly. So quickly put on the chat box kindly. I request each and every one of you to mention how have you been feeling about the session so far. Are you able to understand everything? Is it becoming kind of overwhelming, or it's okay, you are able to absorb everything, or wherein you feel we can improve ourselves so that you are able to absorb it better going forward? So kindly put on the chat box any. Okay, thanks Riyansh and Rashmi. So Riyansh, you want to unmute yourself and give a quick recap? Is that how you want to do?
So actually, I want you to give me a recap.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
No
I
problem.
didn't understand the context. Okay, all right. I will give the recap. But then anybody else has any other concern? Were you there in the last session, Riyansh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So starting off with the session. So guys, I would request each and every one of you to be more interactive. And that is how I think we will bring energy to this session and we will be able to learn and absorb better. And that is how you are going to benefit the most out of this session. So request every person here to participate and engage in whatever manner you feel. You want to unmute yourself, come forward, you want to mention something on chat box, feel free to comfortable. But ultimately the thing is you must engage so that we know like what is your sentiment about this, what is your feedback. Unless that is not the case, we won't be able to know like if we are able to deliver to each one of you or not. All right. So I will give a quick recap about the last 3 sessions on data analysis that we have covered. This is our 4th series in data analysis. So far, we have seen how data visualization is done. We have seen how data can be extracted. I mean, how insights can be extracted from raw data. If you have, let's say, a very huge file which contains millions of rows, lakhs of rows, and the potential size of that particular sheet, that data set is in MBs, let's say 100 MB, 50 MB, then how to go about it? Is Excel the right approach to analyze that data, or you should follow some other automated mechanisms to identify insights out of that data? And when we have a data set, like last time, we had a data set of Olympics for the last 100 years. So we were trying to understand all the potential insights from that particular document. So that data set would give you uh, like enough insights, but you need to figure out the potential questions yourself. So I did figure out some of the questions that I did share with you guys on the WhatsApp. Now, how many of you got a chance to go through those questions and experiment around? First question. Let me know how many of you got a chance and you experimented around that. Nobody?
Yeah, so Prashant, I just conveyed on that I just set up the environment. And
Okay.
for people to just start with the first question, which are the environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know that you tried. Any other person here who made an attempt? Nobody? Okay, but that is weird. Then how are you gonna practice it, and how will you be able to remember all of these going forward in long term? Unless you practice, you won't be able to benefit yourself, and you won't be able to take the maximum out of these sessions, because when you practice, what happens is you figure out more ways to do it. If you try one way, you will automatically figure out two more ways to do that. And then if you practice 10 questions, you will figure out 100 ways to do how those 10 insights could be pulled out. So it is not about those 10 questions, but it is about those 100 different ways that your mind will understand you, that will your mind will figure out that okay, this thing can also be can also be resolved in this manner. And that is how you basically learn how to program. So programming is something wherein you must have a mind which is flexible in thinking various solutions. But no issues, since some of you could not practice. But my suggestion would be, whenever you are coming to the session, to practice at least something, so that when we are going to the next session, you are able to understand what we have already covered. So that will give you a good platform to understand the next sessions. So I will now share my screen. But before I go further, anybody has any questions? Uh, Anybody wants to ask anything? Please do unmute yourself. You can ask, and then I will move ahead. Okay, seems everybody is very shy here. No problem. I will share my screen and we can continue ahead. Okay, Ryansh, you said you were not able to understand how to do it. So were you not there in the session wherein we tried certain examples on how to pull the insights?
Actually, I was traveling when I was actually watching the record when I was in the session. Actually, that's why I was not able. That's why I was not clear.
No problem. So good that you at least spoke about it. Now you will be able to understand today, because we will review that aspect as well and then move ahead. So then you will be able to follow along all the questions, I believe. All right. So now let me share my screen. Let me know once you are able to see my screen.
Now we can see your screen.
Okay, thanks for confirming. So this was the data. So right. So this was the data that we were working upon. So this is Olympics data of last 100 years. Am I not audible to anybody?
You're audible.
Okay. Manjul, you might need to rejoin. I think I'm audible to others. So see, this is Olympics data of last 100 years, which is 20 MB of data and has more than 2 lakh of rows. So here we have 2 lakh of rows. Now manually processing this data in Excel file is difficult, is not very convenient. Even opening this file will take some delay, and doing further analysis over Excel might also crash the Excel. This file is only 20 MB, but if it had around, let's say, 30 lakh rows, then Excel will not be able to process it. It will take huge amount of time, which won't do any justice to analysis here. All right, now my point was to make you think what all potential insights you could derive out of this data. So for example, this is a mine, and now you want to extract the gold, diamond, silver from this mine. And what are those gold, diamond, and silver out into this mine? So these are the potential insights that will help you plan your journey ahead. All right. So that will help you plan how to go about the next Olympics. How to Can you please mute yourself if you're not speaking? Okay. So this data will help you prepare, go about the next Olympics. So now, before I get into this data, let me bring forward a real scenario. So how many of you are cricket enthusiasts? Can you please do a thumbs up or a plus one in the chat so that I can know how many of you are really cricket enthusiasts, and I can give an example which may resonate with you all. Thanks, Rayansh. And nobody other is a cricket enthusiast. Okay, thanks, Dhyan. So what happens is in cricket match, what happens is based upon the historical matches uh, that those two teams have had, the next event, the next sport event is accordingly planned. The coaches of different teams accordingly plan as per the data. So, for example, they have this data. Then, when the pitch was hard, they played a match in a stadium where the pitch was hard, and the batsman, what was the average hit rate the batsman was able to produce on that particular pitch? So based upon that rate, they will try to plan out certain strategy if they are again gonna play the match in that same stadium on the same pitch. So they will try to plan out some different strategy how to maintain a good run rate. Or let's say if the probability is that a team has lost certain matches on a certain stadium due to certain reasons. So those reasons would be identified, that whenever team has played into this ground, what all reasons have led to team defeat. And then the coach would try to avoid those mistakes in the next game. So like this, data is very useful in every aspect, whether it is business, sports, and everything. So in today's sports as well, whether it is cricket, football, every sport, it has it is dependent on a lot of data. So before going into matches, there is a lot of artificial intelligence that does the prediction that if you are going to participate in this match, if the team is going to play in this match, this should be the sequence of the players, this should be the strategy, they should avoid these mistakes if they're playing on this ground, because these are some of the mistakes which have where team skipped many catches, where team did not produce enough run rate, and due to which they had lost in the past. So these things would be recommended by AI, and that is something coach also tries to prioritize while he is preparing his team for the match. So similarly, now if we have this data of 100 years, who would be requiring this data, and who would it like for whom would it be useful? So let's take a scenario that India is a country which wants to improve itself in sports. India wants to win more medals, want to participate into more sport events, and for which India must plan, because India's medal count is not really high. It is not even moderate as well. It is quite low, because India earns only a few medals every 4 years in the Olympics. All right. So now, government of India has this authority, Sports Authority of India, which basically takes care of all the necessities, requirements of all the players who are playing for India. So Sports Authority of India has been asked by Indian government that please share a detailed report of India's overall sports analysis, wherein India has performed good, bad, won medals for India, what are the sport events, everything, every potential insights that you could produce for us. And you can also understand in a different manner, like for example, if you are an international authority and you want to basically identify Olympic trends, to basically identify who have been the top people, and how can you basically let the media, the newspapers know that these people have been the top people into different areas who participated, and you can probably write an article on them. So data is a very core thing in every aspect of being, whether it is news writing, whether it is media, whether it is sports, education. Data is used everywhere to produce better performance, to identify potential insights that could be actioned upon and improved. Now, all good so far? Everybody understood what I explained so far? So that I move to the next session, ensuring that everybody is aligned. Okay, good, Riyansh. Thanks, Ramesh. So, what are the potential questions that I had shared with you? So, the potential questions could be, just allow me a minute. Yeah. So, these are some of the potential insights that we can generate out of our data. We can pull out of our data. For example, in which year Olympics was hosted, in which city? So basically, if you want to first identify India's performance in the Beijing Olympics, which had happened in 2008, you want to specifically identify that. Then these are the potential insights that you could pull. How many players from India participated in Beijing Olympics? Here you need to produce count. How many? How were those? How were those players who participated in Beijing? Hello, I mean, who were those players who participated in Beijing? The names of the players. And what were the sports events they participated into? And then on seeing that India had participated in swimming, you become curious to know that who participated in swimming, and you are curious to know. So you basically try to identify that as well. And then how many medals did India won in Beijing? Who won medal for India in Beijing? All right. Sports for which won in medal for India. Players which won medal for India. And then how many medals did India won in Beijing Olympics? Total medals. Which sports event won India medals in Beijing Olympics. Yeah, I think these are kind of repetitive. Yeah. Now you also become interested to see the history of Usain Bolt. So you want to see all the participation history of Usain Bolt and want to see how he has progressed and became the fastest runner on earth. How many medals were won by him? All right. Please show his medal count along with his participation history so that we'll be able to see what is his participation history and in which event in his lifetime he won a medal for that particular event or not. And then we have to identify globally who is the player who has won the maximum medal so far. Okay, and now we can also add what were those events for which he was awarded medals. Now, anybody of you want to add any questions, any potential insights from your end so that I can add to this list? And later on, when we are doing our analysis on these insights, we also try to take that into consideration and work around that. Anybody of you want to add any additional insights other than these? Guys, be interactive, please. Or you feel we should first progress with these? Let me know. Put on chat box. Okay. So the answer says which country has maximum participation? All right. So with this one question added here, I will proceed ahead. Now, how do we pull out this data through Python? That is something we will take a look at second. That will be secondary for us. Now, but how do we identify this answer using manual method? First of all, we need to understand how this data, how can we reach to this insight manually. So I want to understand when was 2008 Olympics hosted. All right. Now you have to help me. You all have to help me reach this potential insight. So this is my data. Now, how can I identify which, like in which city the Olympics was was executed in 2008? So here I have a year column. Now I won't go and manually search for 2008. That is not something I will do because there are 2 lakhs of rows. And I don't want to do that because that is a time consuming process. So what I will do is I will come to year. I will select a filter here. All right. And enabling this filter basically gives me this privilege to see all the options here. What all years do we have? Now, specifically, I will select 2008. All right. And for 2008, I would pick up this city's entry and I would try to pick up a unique entry. Unique means because otherwise there are 13,000 entries, but I need only one. So I will pick up a unique, and that is how I will be able to understand. Okay, 2008 Olympics happened in Beijing city. All right. Now this is the manual method. So wherein we had to do what? We had to come to Excel and we had to simply filter data as per our category. So the first thing is that you need to remember is how to filter. So you will reach your potential insight if you know how to filter the data. All right. If you don't know how to filter the data, then going on the next step of data analysis is worthless. So first of all, you need to know how to filter the data. And then we will look into the advanced ways, how you can leverage advanced ways to reach further complex data analysis. Good so far? Understood this thing? Cool. Now let's take a look at how we will identify this insight through Python. I will go to my Jupyter notebook, and here, if you remember, on the first session, we did data visualization exercise. All right. So we'll come to that part later, and then we further did a data analysis exercise wherein we used pandas to basically read our Excel data, and then we started performing other analysis like identifying the player names and their ages, and then we performed some other operations also, like which country won maximum golds. So United States won 2000, close more than 2000 gold medals. So things like that. We also try to visualize some of the aspects. All right. Now here, although I have already done some of the, I've already attempted all some of the questions already, but for you, I will do it separately so that you understand that. So here, see, here we are trying to pull out the data, like we are trying to identify that Olympics in 2008 was hosted in which city. So for that, what are we doing? We are basically filtering our data. So this data, how is this data coming? So we will take a look at this. So first of all, we will open a new notebook, and here we'll start from scratch. So first of all, we need pandas. Import, so we will import pandas. And why do we need pandas? Anybody will answer that?
We need pandas to actually read our Excel files.
Great, that's correct. So pandas will help us read the Excel file. So that is why you need to import this library. Now we will read our Excel file. And what is the format to read that Excel file? It is this. So what we are doing here is we are using this function read Excel, and read Excel is a pandas function. So once we have imported pandas, we will be able to use this function because we are using pd.readExcel, which means we are using this function which is a part of PD. PD is nothing but pandas. And here we are specifying the path name. In Windows, you have to actually give double slash for the complete path. And what is happening is that file would be completely read by data. So all of the data of this Excel file would be saved to data variable. Okay. So now the Excel sheet that you see after filtering 2008, all of this data would save to data variable. How we can check that? We will print our data once we have read this successfully. So now here if you see this button is black, which says this has executed one cell and it is taking 10 seconds to read it. So far it is black only because this is a huge file. It is continuously reading that file into the data variable. So it is taking time. Now assume that if this 20 MB of file, this 2 lakh and 2 lakh rows of file can take this much amount of time, then what would happen if it is a very huge data? So as the data grows, you need tools accordingly. You need tools that will be able to process that data within lesser time. So if you will try to use Oracle database to over big data, then you know what? The insights that Oracle generates for tabular data would not take maybe more than a minute. But if Oracle has to generate insight for the big data, it might take a year to generate that insight. You know that. So this is a fact. So if you are processing big data, then you have to use databases like MongoDB, Scalar database, Cassandra. So these are the big databases that help you process huge amount of data within seconds. But if you follow the traditional approach, it will take years for you. So now we have our complete Excel sheet here. We have ID, name, sex, age, height, weight, team, NOC, game, year, session, city, and then we also have our medal status here. So we have all the columns here. All right. And it says there are 271,000 rows in this particular data set. All right. Now, our purpose was, what is our purpose? Now, this data has all the data. Now, अगर मुझे कुछ पता करना है तो I will go to this data variable. I need not go to my Excel file again. So here, what I need to do is, I want to identify that Olympics was hosted in which city in 2008. All right. Now everything is in data variables. How can I reach that particular insight? So I just need to filter it. So what I will do is, how can I filter? So I have this data and this is the format to filter it. So in data, I want to filter year. All right. To filter year, where year is equals to 2008. All right. And I will save that in data again, maybe in some other variable in city. Let's save it in city. Data city. Now let me execute it. So it executed. Now let me print it. Now let's take a look how the data city looks like. So for the year 2008, it is printing all the data. Now here, there you will not find any data for any other year because I am specifically filtered. So which here it means that I have applied the filter where year is 2008 over the data. So now this was our complete data. Okay. And this is our complete data in data variable. Now what we are doing is we are applying the filter here for 2008. And then now this data is a part of our data city variable. All right, understood this? So now we have all the data in our data city. Now we want to identify further which is the city name where Olympics happened. So for that, what we can do is city name equals to data city, and then we will define city. We will put unique here. All right. So let's execute this. So here what I am doing is, now I am using data city data and I'm specifically checking the city column here. And I'm pulling out the data from city column, that what is the unique value from city column. And that value would be saved to my city name. Now let's print the city name and see what is it. The 2008 Olympics was hosted in all right. So this gives us the 2008 Olympics was hosted in Beijing. Understood so far? Anybody has any doubts with respect to this first thing? Because this is the fundamental. Now moving ahead, we might upstep and try to do some more examples which may be which may have one level up. So Ayush, Sure. Are you clear on this part? First of all, please give me a thumbs up or plus one. Okay. Good, Daniel. Cool. Great to see people understanding. And what about others? Only 4 people acknowledging. Other people are not getting anything. All right. So now let's move to the other insight. And now you all have to help me do that. Please unmute yourself. And now you will be helping me. How will I prepare the program to pull that insight? Now, what is the second question? How many players from India participated in Beijing Olympics? All right. Now, help me write the first line of code. Please request some of you to come forward, and it will be good if all of you can come forward because this is how we will enjoy the session. And it would be an energetic session. Let's make it energetic. And so request you to come forward, help me with the first line of city, which would be something like this.
I think so. It can be
Mhm.
data underscore name is equal to
Sure.
data in the square brackets data and in the square brackets. So we'll write the just a minute. We'll write the name,
Sure.
and after that we will in the quotes, and then equals
Okay.
India.
Great. Right. Yeah. So good. Good, Rian. Now I would encourage others to participate as well. So now we need to showcase who were those players who participated from India. So now if I will print this data name, Rian, would it give me the required answer?
I think so, yes.
So here, what it gives me rather is it gives me the header names.
I think team should be India, and instead of data, there should be data underscore city.
Yeah, that's right. Because in name, we have player's name. So if you will put India here, then it would not be a match. Team is something which represents a country. So team will have India. So you need to mention team here. Okay. Now, but still, I don't think it will give us the required output. It gives us an error. I think I did not close this one.
I guess we have to also, can I say something?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is we are kind of trying to find that how many players from India participated in the Beijing Olympics. So along with the data into bracket team, we also need to filter out the data with the city Beijing.
That's very correct. So we need an additional category here. Yeah, that's right. So we need an additional category here, which would be something like it, wherein we need to know which we are specifically filtering for Beijing. All right.
Sir, it will, yeah.
Yeah, I think the format is not correct. Let me refer to the format here. Yeah, so I think a bracket is missing.
This is the square bracket after India. That should not be there.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Was never closed. Let me take a look at it. Okay, so here we need not provide it. And this is also not supposed to be here. Yeah, so what happens is, this is our workbook. Now workbook is this complete Excel. All right. Now, in this workbook, we are applying two filters, which is team should be India and the city should be Beijing. So that is why we will use an and category, but then we will use format like this within a bracket, and this would act as a filtered data. So first of all, we are filtering the city as Beijing, and then we are filtering the team as India. After that, whatever data would come would be remaining, would be left out, would be saved to data name. Okay. Now, if then we will print it, it will. And I have not closed this one.
It's team and not teams.
Yeah, that's right. There's one more error. Okay, let me rather copy it from here and then check it here. What is the mistake that we are making? So data is good. Okay, so the brackets have to be different actually. I will comment this out. Yeah, right. So the brackets had to be different. So this one would have a different bracket. This one would have a different bracket. All right. Now this gives us the remaining data, that is the filtered data. But this is still not the insight. We have to reach to the insight. Now, by doing this edit, this cut and cross, we understand and we learn better. If we directly come out to the answer, uh, we would just move on to the next insight, but that would not help us learn different things, how to basically filter and how to use different things. Okay, so I see that is a good thing. So now we know what is the data when we have selected India and Beijing. So you will see that all the cities should be India here, all the teams should be India, all the cities should be Beijing. And there are 67 rows and 15 columns. Now, from here, we need to know the players who participated. So help me prepare the second line, which I would name as name. Now, we need to identify those player names, and this is going to be our source of data, which we will be using now. So now, anybody wants to help me ahead?
We can extract the names, the unique names of the players, and then count those names.
All right. So you mean we will select the name from date name, and then we can the unique, and then we can count it, and then we can print that output and see what is the output. Says has no attribute count. Okay. Do we need to import? No. Okay, sorry, it is not. No problem. Let us use this only. Okay, so this gives us a list of all the players who participated in the event. All right. So now through this, we know everybody who participated in that event. So if we want to count how many people participated, we might need to use NumPy. So let me try importing NumPy, import NumPy. And then maybe we can use the count operation as well. Okay, no problem. And how are we counting it here? Okay, got it. So there is another way. So if you'll use this format, you can basically print out the names, but then there is the other function which is known as len, and the short form is len. So if you use len function, it will basically count how many entries are there for that particular data frame. So for this data frame, it will count the particular entries, how many rows are there, and then it will print that as a count. So now we can have another print which would say total number of players who participated. So it says total number of players who participated is 53. Okay, so like this, we were able to figure out this insight. Now let's do one more, which is who were those players who participated in the Beijing. Now this one is quite simple because we have already done that, right? So for that, we don't need to do anything. We just need to copy this particular code. We can just put it here, and what we need to do is we just need to remove the length, because now we don't want the count. We want the player names. All right. So this gives us the name. So all clear so far? Anybody has any doubts with respect to filtering data and processing data so far on the fundamentals? Give me a thumbs up or a +1 if you are okay. Otherwise, unmute yourself or ask any questions if you didn't understand anything. Okay, good to see that Ramesh and Ganeshwar are getting most of the things. But how about others? Did you understand everything well so far? We'll move on to the next aspect, which is what was the sport events in which player participated. Now, how would you help me on this? So now you know that first of all, we will need to filter the data. So how we will filter the data for identifying what are the sport events. Now take a look at this sheet and work out the logic for me. Okay, Manjul has already put something on the chat, which I will copy and use it. Great, Manjul. Great to see you. You are proactively writing this, and okay. So we are using data instead of df. So this is the code I'm using from chat, which has been written by Manjul. So here, players from what are the sport event in which players participated, right? So here, basically, we are filtering out Beijing and team from India. Now we want to further know in which sports did India participate. So as per Manjul's logic, let's try to print that. Yeah, that's really good, Manjul. Your accuracy is damn good. So here we get to know that these are the sports in which India participated, right? So very good, Manjul. Now, do you understand how he pulled this data out? So he basically filtered first of all, which is a basic requirement that we need the base data, wherein data is having city as Beijing and team as India. Over that, we have the sports column wherein all the sport activities are mentioned. And then he tried to perform a unique operation. He tried to specifically pull that sport event from this particular data frame into place information by pulling out the unique values only. And then we were able to present it. Now, we will look at the other, which is okay. Here, on looking at this data, I see swimming. Now, when I see swimming, I become very curious to know that being an Indian, Indian people are very rare into swimming sports. So it gives me some sort of curiosity to explore, okay, what happened more around swimming. So how can we explore more on swimming? So this is the question. Curious to know who from India participated in swimming. How will you help me identify this insight? How will you help me reach out this insight? Now, first of all, we need to filter the data, then we need to process some data, and then we need to identify those. Okay. Manjula has pasted something again. Let me go and try that. Manjula, it will be great if you could use data. Okay, but I think you might be using DF in your existing program. So I will just swap it off. Or maybe I can do one thing. I can simply do this thing, DF. Now all the DF would go to data itself. It's giving me some error here. DF is not defined. Okay, I am doing it otherwise. I have to do this like this. Players from India who participated in swimming in Beijing Games. So these were the player names who participated in swimming from India. And these are 4 different people. And how has he filtered it out? So it is very right. He filtered first of all for Beijing and who participated from India, and from India who participated in swimming. So these are the 3 values he filtered out. Let's do the same in parallel. So he filtered first of all 2008. He then filtered Beijing, and then he filtered swimming. And on swimming, he identified the name of people from India. So okay, team is also supposed to be India. Okay, yeah, that gives us a list of 7, but here the unique entries are only 4. So which means the data is absolutely correct, which is correctly identified by Manjul. And he is identifying the unique entries from the name column, saving them in player's name, and he is presenting them here. Very good, Manjul. And now moving ahead, how many medals did India win in Beijing Olympics? So anybody wants to help me before Manjul helps me? But yeah, very good to see Manjul. That raises the energy of the session. Yeah, I see you have already put that on the chat box, but anybody else wants to volunteer to write this logic, to help me write this logic, so that you can also develop your neural networks and become some sort of proficient with how to write code. Anybody wants to help me?
Even if it's wrong, that's perfectly fine. What you try, your attempt is more important than the right answer. Because once you start trying, you will start experiencing the fun of programming. So would strongly encourage you to try it. Right, wrong answer doesn't matter. The fact that you tried is more important than the answer itself.
That's right. So anybody wants to come forward? Otherwise, I will go ahead. Okay, no problem. So what happens is now we want to identify how many medals did India win in Beijing Olympics. So now what is the basic requirement for this? The basic requirement for this is the filter requirement is that we should have filters for year to which it should be 2008. We should have team as India, and then we should have uh, medals. In medals also, we have lots of categories wherein NA is mentioned. So if you'll come to the medal, there is a lot of NA, which means no medal was allocated to this. So, but before that, let me clear the filters. So there are a lot of medals wherein NA is there, which means no medal was given. And then there are some wherein you will see the actual medal that was given. So for that, what we need to do is we need to filter data wherein medal is not NA. So this is the basic requirement that we need to fulfill first of all. Now, which means we have to filter something. So I will select this row, or maybe let me write my own row, which would be like medals IND equals to data city equals to Beijing. So I filter the data for Beijing. Now I have all the Beijing data. Now I want to filter for India. This is also done. Now I want to filter data for medals. So I think we can filter the medal data separately also. So first of all, we will save until here, and then we will take a look at how does this data looks. Okay, so here it gives me the data for city Beijing, team India, but now it is showing a lot of NANs which I want to ignore. How will I ignore them? What I can do is I will do this medals IND equals to, I will select medals here. I will say drop NA. Like this, it will drop all the rows which are having no NA as a count. And then I will have only that data which is the required data. So I think that is medal, not medals. Okay. Yeah. So this gives me yeah, so this gives me, this is the index value. This is not medal count. So don't assume that India won 20,000 gold medals. No, that's not like that. So what I can do is index equals to false.
Just
Okay,
want to make
no
sure
problem.
everyone is able to see the screen because I think it's frozen from my side. So Prashant, I can't
Okay.
see anything typing. I just can see the screen, but I can't see what it is. I'm not sure if it's just me or for everyone. So just want to make sure everyone is able
Can
to
other people confirm?
see.
Are you able to see the movement on my screen?
I am able to see.
Okay, are you able to see what I am doing? The editing, the motion,
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Your cursor is currently on city.
Yeah, right. All right. So yeah, there might be some network glitch from your side, Dr. Mukesh. No issues.
Okay, no problem.
So
you.
here we were able to confirm, like here we have so far printed the medals that were won by India in 2008 Olympics. So there was one gold, one bronze, another bronze. So now let's count how many medals were won by India is we can use length function. So this gives us that we won 3 medals. Now, how do we identify who won these 3 medals? Now, is this something which you can help me with? It is easy quite. Who won medals for India in Beijing Olympics? Anybody wants to help me? This is very simple. You just have to depend on this particular data itself. So see, if you will print this medals IND, what you will see is, okay, so here what I can do is medal count. So here if you will see, it shows a lot of data. All right. Now from this data, we want to identify who were the players who won medals for India. So here I will say drop NA. Now it shows me a lot of data right now, but I want to specifically focus on the name. What I will do is name, comma, port. And like this, now I'm able to identify. Okay, I should also print medal. Yeah, so like this, now I'm able to identify who won us a gold medal in shooting, who won us a bronze medal in wrestling, and who won a bronze medal in boxing, Vijender Kumar Singh. So like this, we were able to pull out different insights. Does that help you in understanding how you can filter data, how you can build a basic logic that will help you reach that particular insight? So now do you feel confident enough that you will be at least able to do data analysis using Python by filtering out the required data and reaching the potential insights? Now, these potential insights are level 100. These are not very intermediate or very advanced. Once you become familiar with this process, you are able to basically know how you can do the fundamentals right of data analysis. Then of course you will be able to move ahead and target the other questions, other complex insights as well. But in the interest of time, we have lot many questions, we have lot many options as well, which I might not be able to cover, but I can show you a demo because I have already completed them in my previous, I was already trying that. So here you will see that I even looked for Usain Bolt. So here I asked to show the participation history of Usain Bolt. So I filtered for Usain Bolt, and then it shows that Usain Bolt participated first in 2004 in Athena Olympics. And then in 2008 also he participated in Beijing. And then he participated in London and Rio as well. and total medals won by Usain Bolt 8. So I was able to use that by using the length function. So that is also not very complex. You can also do that. And then what is the medal count? So if you see, he did not win any medal in Athena Olympics. He won his first medal in Beijing Olympics, and he even did not win any medal in the relay. His team had lost it. But then in Rio, he won all the three gold medals, where he did not skip on any medal. Like this, we were able to identify different people, and here you will see players who won the maximum medals. So here it says Michael Phelps, who is the swimming, who is from US and is into swimming. He has won the 28 medals so far, which is the highest count so far. Nobody player in the history has won so many medals. And then yeah, we pulled out some different insights for who was the high like players with maximum heights, who were with the lowest heights. So these are some of the insights for those. So like this, in the interest of time, I will skip this part and will try to target in our next session. But before that, do you have any query? Then I will let Dr. Mukesh talk more about some of the aspects. Okay. So, but overall, were you able to understand the things that we covered today? Do you find them helpful? Do you find you have learned something new which you will be able to use going further? Okay, great, Manjeet. Thanks, Manjul. So I think we are right on time. Dr. Mukesh, you want to talk us through anything?
Yeah, sure. We covered a lot of theory last week. So I want to make sure if there are any questions or if any part needs to be repeated or clarified, I would be glad to do that because we had a very intense theory session. So I want to make sure any follow-up questions or any part needs to be re-explained. I would be glad to do that. Does any questions from last week?
Dr. Mukesh, actually, I'm yet to go through the complete recording. So once I go through it, I definitely come back if I have any questions. So that was quite
Sure,
an
no,
interesting
no.
question, and it was having too much insight,
I
too
can,
many insights.
yeah, there's a lot of information. If you
Yeah.
can remember everything that I've said, you'll definitely clear the you and help in getting the job.
Yeah.
But I can sum very quickly because I think in the beginning of the chat, Riyansh had asked a question. Can you give a quick recap of the whole series? So I can try doing that today. So Riyansh, what we want to do is we want to analyze the data as part of these Learn series. So when we say data analysis, we are analyzing the data. We are trying to understand the information from the data points. And from that information, we want to gather the insights. So we go from data to information to insights. So the type of analysis that we do, which Prashant has been showing, is data filtering. So data filtering is one type of data processing, and data analysis does a lot of data filtering, as you saw with practical examples, where you want to understand the data, understand the information. So you've got data points for different years of how India did in different years. But we get the information by understanding what has changed in those years. So in 2000 Beijing, what sports we participated in the previous Olympics, which were the new sports, or was it the same sports that India participated in? Now that is information, right? What we did in 2000 is the data point that we are analyzing. But knowing the difference in the previous Olympic versus the next Olympic gives us more insight. You know, are we expanding and are we participating in more sports, right? And then we want to do predictive as well. what new sports India should participate in the next year, right? So we haven't dealt into the predictive part, but once we do the basic descriptive analytics, then we'll get more into the predictives, which uses machine learning algorithms, linear regression being one of the most common algorithms. So we'll use those, but let's at least get the basics right and do the descriptive analytics. So we are assuming this data is already there for us, and we are analyzing the data by filtering the data and trying to understand it. And then as part of the data analysis, we also want the ability to be able to join multiple data sets in multiple data frames and be able to join that. So right now we've loaded all this data from one Excel sheet into a data frame. But what we also want to be able to do, join multiple data sets. So one data set from this CSV file was loaded into a data frame, another data set in a different data frame, and then you can do a join. So in one of the sessions, we talked about inner join, outer join using SQL, but you can join data between data frames as well. But essentially that gives you the ability to be able to analyze large data sets by either filtering it, understanding the intersection of the data, understanding what is happening, and gather those insights. That is the high level objective of our data analysis. And as part of that analysis, we have to visualize the data. We have to do exploratory data analysis, also called as EDA, where you're just running these filtering operations or running these queries to understand the data better. So that's what we are doing. We are not focusing on where the data comes, how it comes. We covered that theory so you understand if someone is giving you a data file, you know probably where it came from and where it is stored. So in real world organization, these files would be stored on the data lake on the cloud as a file in some object storage like Azure Blob or AWS S3 bucket or GCP bucket. So this file will be stored in a CSV format or a .parquet file format or a .delta lake file format. And you can you can load that data in a Databricks notebook and be able to do exactly the same analysis as Prashant is showing. So that's what data analysis is all about.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Any other question? This is your opportunity. You can ask any question. Think of it this way. You're going for an interview. When you go for the interview, you have a lot of fear. And part of that fear arises from the unknown. What if they ask this? What if I don't know? Focus on the knowns. And whatever the unknown is, you face the fear by writing all the questions that are there in your mind, which you're trying to avoid. If you get answers to all those questions, then you won't have any fear of giving an interview. Yeah. So try to write down the question. So in the next session, you can ask the question. Because when you don't have any questions in your mind, there is no fear. But if you have any fear, what will others think about me, or how to frame the question, just practice it. Don't be fearful at all asking any questions. Okay. If nothing else, then we can have another mind empowering technique with Sister Raki.
Good evening, everyone. Today we'll share another mind empowering technique, which is applying a stop. Whenever we drive, if our brakes are not functional, we are more prone to an accident and going out of control in the speed that we drive. The same applies to our mind as well. In the former session, we did touch upon the fact why we can't feel relaxed is because the mind is constantly spinning its wheels in directions that is draining our energy. Relaxation means the mind has slowed down and is in decent amount of control. When we say fair amount of control, we mean the quality of thoughts, the negativity, the anxiety, worry. There's a whole gamut of these thoughts that drain our energy. That is minimal. That's why when we go on vacations, we go out on a beach, we go to a park, we go out in the nature, or when we're out with friends socializing in a party, we are enjoying the present moment. We feel relaxed because it's different from our routine. The mind is getting distracted because it's focusing on good things. So each one of us has this capability within, this power which is inherent to every individual. This power to break, to apply a stop, to worries, confusions, anything that's not making us feel good, any memories of the past, any concerns about future, someone's behavior or words. Because we have to come to realize that when we constantly let the mind think about these things, we are not really solving the problem for ourselves. It never gets resolved. The moment the mind thinks of that thing, we keep feeling bad. And that experience repeats every time our mind goes in that gear. So we have to bring ourselves to that awareness that we have to focus on resolving. And the first step is to stop the mind from constantly going into that gear, that chain of thoughts. All we have to do is just say the word stop. And focus on something positive. The mind will again force us to go there. Again, we say stop and focus on something positive. Something positive like, I am powerful. I am calm. I am happy. I will not be affected by my mind. If the mind again goes back to that same situation, again we say stop. Again we say, I'm powerful. I'm calm. I am happy. Because unless we do not build a new set of thoughts, that are powerful enough to pull us out of that old set of thoughts that is draining our energy, we will not come out of this loop of being affected. So the technique here is stop. And I can only say stop when I'm aware of what thoughts I'm thinking. I'm mindful. I'm aware of where my mind is going. If I'm aware, I can say stop. I cannot expect my mind to listen to me right away. It will not happen. But I can rule and direct the mind to create 3 new thoughts. I am powerful. I am calm. I am happy. And this will help create some positive state for me. And enable me to pull myself out of that negative energy draining state and break that cycle of looping into anxieties, confusions, influences of situations, people's behaviors, words, family, social life, professional life, that whole gamut of issues that we face. So let's try this technique in the upcoming week. Being self-aware of thoughts are coming in our mind. Saying stop and creating a new set of thoughts. Of more peaceful, powerful, happy energy. Let's experiment with this technique. And break out of old thinking patterns. energy draining cycles of the mind. Because at the end of the day, what really matters is how we feel. That is the bottom line of every single pursuit, personal, professional, social, physical, emotional, mental, whatever pursuits we have in our life. At the end of it, the bottom line is how we feel. And if we are not feeling good, we are not truly living our life's purpose. So let's end our session with this realization. That I place importance on how I feel. That is the most important thing above anything else in our life. So thank you all for joining today, and we look forward to meeting you all again next week. Have a great weekend, and we'll reconnect soon. Thank you all.
Just as announcement, next week is our special session because we'll be celebrating our 1 year of learning. We've been conducting sessions on different topics. So next week we have a bigger group where we would have participants from previous sessions who've learned AWS, Salesforce, and other things. So we want to make sure we share updates on what's happening in AWS, what's happening in the job market, what are some of the IT trends, and share that with you. And would also like to learn from your feedback. What are some of the other courses that you might find interesting, and learn from your experience how the series you think is going so far, and what we can do anything different to maximize the benefit to you. So we look forward to having you all next week as well. Thank you.